Welcome to the Daily Voice podcast, and today's podcast is titled Planning with Purpose. And our reading today is from the New King James in Proverbs 19, and we're reading from verse 21. There are many plans in a man's heart, nevertheless, the Lord's counsel that will stand. Now, we've heard this saying in especially professional circles, business circles, in the workplace, that failing to plan is planning to fail. But I've got an interesting twist for you today as we look at today's podcast entitled Planning with Purpose. An exciting thing to talk about today. And the reason I would want to talk about this today is because Jeremiah 29:11 says, and this is God speaking to you and I, where He says, I've got wonderful plans for you. Wow. So this is why in Proverbs, the writer here says that we as man, or as a woman, or mankind, have many plans in our mind. We've got, and we're very good at making plans, and there's nothing wrong with making plans. In actual fact, the saying that failing to plan is planning to fail is really true. You must have action plans. Action plans must be broken down into action steps, milestones. You know how the whole story works out. So that is very, very important that we do this. But overarching all of this is a prime factor that we cannot miss. And that is that as we make our many, many plans, if we make them in the absence of God's plan or His purpose, we're simply just wasting our time. Look at the rest of this passage of Scripture. Many are the plans in a man's heart, nevertheless, the Lord's counsel that will stand. The word counsel there means the Lord's purpose. The Hebrew word there for counsel is purpose. And that is what Jeremiah 29:11 says, I have got plans for you. Plans to what? Purpose for you. Purpose. There comes the word purpose again in Jeremiah 29:11, because God's purpose is higher than your and my plans. Now, what is purpose? In other words, we have to, before we make a plan, align our plan with God's purpose. And that is why we should do everything very prayerfully and in step and in sync with the heart of God for our lives. So remember, before you just make a plan, make it with God's purpose in mind. Be blessed. See you tomorrow.